I just spent $465,000 in the last 30 days. And today, I'm going to tell you what I learned in the process. Welcome to Everyday A New Thought. I'm Thor Chalgren. In episodes 81 and 82 of the show, I described something called the prosperity game, which I played for the last 30 days. And in the prosperity game, basically, you're imaginarily spending money every single day. So you imagine if you put in $1,000 into your bank account on day one, and your only objective is to spend that in imagination that day. And then every day for the next 30 days, an additional $1,000 goes in every day. So by the time you finish with this, you would have spent $465,000. So if you want to know more about how this works, you can go back and listen to those episodes, and I'll put the link in the description. So I've now finished the first 30 days of this, and over the last 2 days, I've shared my thoughts on how it went and what I learned about playing this from a prosperity consciousness standpoint. Yesterday in episode 116, I shared what I spent most of my money on and why I made those choices. So today I'm going to share my insights on what I learned after playing the game and what I learned about myself and my own prosperity consciousness. So here are some insights from having played this over the last 30 days. The first was that as I looked at what I spent money on, time freedom was the most important thing to me. And I wasn't really sure that that would be the case, but the fact that I spent pretty much like 2/3 of that entire amount on paying off the mortgage and clearing off any debt, I realized that meant a lot to me in the sense that now I could imagine myself doing anything I wanted, and I wasn't tied down by the mortgage. My wife and I could make whatever choices we wanted. And, for the most part, it was still doing the same thing that I imagined myself doing. I can't say for my wife whether it would be, but at least this would give us more options. So my suggestion is, if you do this, it's worth looking at the categories that you spend money on and ask, what does that say about your own priorities in life? I didn't really spend a lot of money on things. Like I said, it was mostly on the mortgage and then on one trip. The second insight that I had from playing the prosperity game was once I got to somewhere over 10,000, maybe it was like $13,000, $14,000 on day 10, day 13, day 14, it got a lot harder to figure out how to spend that money. And I know that sounds crazy in one respect, but what I realized was I have a reference point for things that cost $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 like that. I could quickly imagine like on day 4, I think I bought a new refrigerator because I'm like, that's about what that would cost. But when I got to day 15 and it was spending $15,000, I don't typically spend things that much that cost that much. So it was harder for me to imagine that. I would imagine that for someone who is extremely wealthy, they could easily imagine it because they might go like, oh yeah, I know like this set of cufflinks cost $20,000 because they're diamond encrusted or whatever. So yes, someone who has that greater level of prosperity awareness, they're going to know how to spend that, but I didn't. And so that is something to look at, is that I don't have a sense, not that I want to wear diamond crusted cufflinks, but it was interesting to me that I didn't really have that sense of how to spend that kind of money. I mean, yes, there are obvious things where you're like, you could give $15,000 to charity. That absolutely, I concede that sort of level of giving makes a lot of sense. But it's something I want to work on for myself, is to have that greater sense of what's possible. Another insight that I had was that I decided I wanted to make an ongoing list, because every day when I went to try and go spend that money, I'd start over and go, what do I want? I don't know. And I realized that I could make a list and keep track of the kinds of things that I might want to spend money on, and that would make it easier. I also then had to decide at the end of the 30 days, would I do this again? And if so, would I continue on day 31 with $31,000 and keep going from there? Or would I go back and start the game over? And there's pros and cons to each one. The pro to keep going was that obviously the amounts would just get super huge, and what I could spend money on would be even greater. Like maybe I might buy more real estate, or I might buy stock in significant amounts, or I could save for our future. So there's value in thinking of it that way. But there's also value in going back to the start and doing it over again, starting from $1,000 for this reason. If I do that and I get stuck on that place where I'm like, I don't know what to spend money on, I have a feeling that part of that is because I felt uncomfortable at that level. Like there was something that felt, I would just get constricted a little bit and go, this feels like too much. And so because the point of this game is to develop a prosperity consciousness, to feel relaxed and comfortable at that level, it might be worth going back and starting over again for 30 days and playing the game again. And this time being more conscious that when I get to that level of $10, $15, $20,000 is not to get uptight about it, but to be more relaxed with it. So that's what I've decided to do. I decided that I would start the game over again and start from $1,000. I also decided for this one next 30-day period not to repeat any expenditures. And I actually thought about that, whether I would consider that the things that I bought 30 days ago, are they still paid off? Like, for instance, is the mortgage still paid off? Or do I, in this next 30 days, assume that if I bought something before, I'm not going to repeat that purchase? And that's what I decided to do. So for the purposes of this next 30 days, the mortgage is paid off. I already have a vacation in Hawaii in July because that's what I had already committed to in the past 30 days. So I'm not going to repeat any of those expenditures. One other thing that I've discovered since I started this was that shopping sprees are kind of fun. And here's what I mean by that. In the beginning, I was thinking about buying things exactly like if I had $1,000, I would research like, well, how much do these shoes cost? And how much would it cost to buy this particular item? And I think that's okay. I did like that because it kind of opened me up to realizing what those things cost. But I also realized that part of the point of this exercise is to have fun with money, to develop that consciousness of it being fun and free and easy. And so I imagined, when I got to say $2,000 starting over, that I go to the mall in Los Angeles and know that I had $2,000 in cash and I would just go buy whatever I wanted at the mall, and probably like clothing or something like that. So I imagined that day, instead of thinking about buying an item, I imagined like what it would be like to go there and know that I could buy whatever I wanted with $2,000 in cash. And that was kind of fun, which again is the point of this, is to change your energetic vibration with respect to how you view money. So that kind of shopping spree felt like a lot of fun. So I am going to continue this for the next 30 days. I suspect I'll probably have another set of insights in 30 days at the completion of this. But if this sounds fun to you, I encourage you to go back and listen to the first two episodes, episodes 81 and 82. I'll put those in the description, and then listen to the insights yesterday. I think it's a lot of fun to imagine this for yourself. I will say there were times when I didn't think of this as a game, but when I was thinking to myself, the mortgage is paid off, I literally did think of it. I mean, yes, in the back of my mind, I know that it's not, but it felt to me like it was. And I could imagine those experiences. I could imagine being in Hawaii. In fact, on my calendar, I have that I'm on vacation in Hawaii from July 8th to July 22nd. And I imagine what that exact experience is like. And to me, that's the real power of this exercise, is changing your vibration with respect to money and raising it to where you actually see yourself doing these things, being these things, and having these things. And when you change that energetic vibration, you are now moving yourself to where those things are a match with you. That's my episode for today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please hit like if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, please consider following the show on your favorite podcast app. Until tomorrow, thanks for watching.